Hi, in this video we will learn some Docker commands to work with Docker images. We will see, for example, how to list the images that we have on our host, how to pull a Docker image, how to remove a Docker image, and many other things. Okay. First of all, to list the Docker images that we have, we can use the command Docker images. So when we press enter, this command will list the Docker images that we have on our host, okay? The images that are available on our system. So let's press enter. Here, I have this image because I work with Minikube and Kubernetes. But for you, if you didn't have any image on your system, you will see nothing here, okay? And here this command show for each image the name of the image under the repository colon, and then the tag. For the tags, they are just like version, okay? So maybe you have two Docker images that are very similar, and to differentiate between these two images, we can use tags, okay? For example, if you have two Ubuntu images, with some differences, and you want to differentiate between those two images, you will give an image a tag, and you will give the other Ubuntu image another tag, okay? So for tags, all you have to know here is they are like the version of the image, okay? Then here we find the image ID. Each image will have an ID. And here we see just the first few characters of the full ID, okay? And later we will see how we can display the full ID of each image. Then here we find when it is created, and finally the size of the image, okay? If you want to get more information about a Docker command, you can use, for example, Docker. Here we want more information about the Docker images command. So after Docker images, we'll use --help, okay? And here Docker will tell us how we can use this image, okay? For example, if you want to display just the IDs of the images, we can use -q. We can filter the images using --filter. Here with the --now_trunc, we display the full ID of the image. So when you want to get more information about a Docker command, simply type your Docker command and then --help, and Docker will tell you how to use this image, okay? To pull a Docker image, we use the Docker pull command, okay? But first of all, we have to know where those Docker images are stored. The Docker images are stored in Docker Hub. Docker Hub is like GitHub, okay? So we use GitHub to store the application code. And for Docker, we have Docker Hub for storing Docker images, okay? So for example, here, if we open the browser and then search for Docker Hub, and here we have hub.docker.com. This is the official link of Docker Hub. So here, if we go to the bottom, here we find some Docker images like the Ubuntu image, the Python image, Postgres, and many other images, okay? To see all the official Docker images, simply click here on this link. And here we find all the official Docker images, okay? For example, here we have the Node image, and here we have the Mango image. Here we have MySQL. If you want to search for an image, type here the name of the image that you want. For example, if we type Postgres, So here is the Postgres official image. So Docker images are stored on Docker Hub, okay? And to pull an image, here we have to use the Docker pull command, and then we specify the image name, okay? For example, if we want to pull the Ubuntu image, here we have to use Docker pull and then enter the name of the image, which is Ubuntu. So here, Docker will check first of all if the image is available locally on your system, and if the image is not there, then Docker will go to Docker Hub and pull the image that you want. So here it will take a few seconds to pull the image, and after a few seconds the image will be available locally on our system, and we can start working with this image. So now the image was pulled successfully. We can verify that using Docker images, and here is our Ubuntu image. Here we find the tag latest. By default, if you do not specify the tag of the image when you execute the Docker pull command, Docker will use the latest tag, okay? And if you want another tag of the image, you have to specify that tag, okay? For example, here, if we go to Docker Hub and search for the Python image, so here is the Python image. If we go here to the bottom, we find all of these tags, okay? So this image has many tags. Here, for example, we have the Alpine tag. So if you want to pull this specific image, we have to specify the tag Alpine, okay? So here to pull Python Alpine, we will use the Docker pull command, and then we will specify the name of the image, which is Python, and then the tag that we want for this image. Here we want to pull the Python with Alpine tag, so here have to type Alpine, and Docker will check again if the image is available locally, and if it is not available on your system, Docker will pull it from Docker Hub. So now the image was pulled. Let's check the images again using Docker images, and here we find the Python image with the Alpine tag, okay? So here the Docker images display by default the name of the image, the tag, the image ID, when it is created, and the size of the image. We can display, for example, just the ID of the image. So we can display just this column using Docker images and then -q. So when we press enter, here Docker display the ID of the first image, which is Python, then the ID of the second image, which is Ubuntu, and finally here we find the ID of this image, okay? So this command displays just the ID of each image. Here this ID is just the few characters of the full ID of the image. If you want to display the full ID of the image, we can use Docker images with the node trunk option. Here Docker display the image name and then the tag of the image, of each image, and here we find the image ID. Okay, so for example here, those few characters are the first part of this full ID. Okay, this is the full ID of the Python image, and those characters are just the first part of this ID. Okay, the same for the two other images. Okay, so with this command we can get the full ID of the image. Another option that we can use with Docker images is the filter option. So here we can filter our Docker images. For example, if we use the filter option, and here we use dangling equal true, this command will display the images that are intact. Okay, and here because all the images are tagged, so here we didn't find any image. Okay, and finally let's see how we can delete a Docker image. To delete a Docker image, we use the command docker RMI, and then we specify either the image name or the image ID. Okay, so you have to give the docker RMI command either the name of the image that you want to remove or the ID of the image. Okay, so for example, if we list the Docker images, here we find those three images. For example, if we want to delete the Python image, here we're gonna use docker RMI, and then we give it the name of the image with the tag, okay, combined with the tag of this image. So for example here, we want to delete the Python image. So here is the name of the image, which is Python, and then we have to specify the tag, which is Alpine. So now the image was removed from our host, and we can verify that using docker images, and now we didn't find the Python image. Okay, we can also remove an image using the ID of the image instead of the name of the image. Okay, so here we will use again docker RMI. Here, if we will use the name of the image, we have to enter Ubuntu, and if we will use the ID of the image, so we will enter this ID. Okay, so this is the ID of the Ubuntu image. When we press enter, Docker will remove this image from our host. Let's verify that using docker images, and now we didn't find the Ubuntu image anymore. Okay, another thing that I want to tell you here is that when we use the ID of the image, we can specify just the few characters of the ID of the image. Okay, so for example here, instead of typing all of this ID, we can type just the first three characters. Okay, and when we press enter, the image will be removed from our system. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope that everything is clear, and thank you very much.